What a day to be in crypto. We have one of the largest sovereign wealth funds, the country of the UAE, Abu Dhabi, has in a recent filing showed that they bought the Bitcoin ETF. We also have a state in the US that also in their Q1 filing or Q4 filing of last year have shown that they have also bought the ETF. Will more states follow? Bitcoin is currently pumping above $98,000. Is the shift here? Is this the spark we need for the next leg up in Bitcoin and altcoins? We're going to talk about that. We have Forrest joining us today to break down the charts. Also, XRP's pumping. Why? We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about some of our favorite altcoins. And we have that and much, much more in today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hola!
Wow, you sound a little raspy today, Rob. Interesting. You know, Rocco made a good point. He said, at least the magazine won't talk back and blow a vein in his head.
Okay, no, Ethereum sucks. Wait.
I love it. Rob's out. Forrest is in. It is Forrest Friday. You know, Forrest, it was Valentine's Day. I know we're both married, but feel honored to share this Valentine's Day stage with you, my friend. How you doing, brother? Well,
I'm doing great. Honored as well.
Sorry I put you in a weird spot there with that comment, but that's okay. That's okay because we're friends. We've known each other for a while. All right. Forrest, let's start with, also, we have a big announcement we're going to make towards the end of the show, so stay tuned. Forrest, let's start here. This is something that I swear to God, for like 2 years, 3 years almost, this is what we've been talking about, right? When you have nation states buying and these countries buy and this and this and this, and here you go. Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund bought $436 million of the Bitcoin ETFs in Q1 of this year. Now, this is called Mubadala Investment Company, is one of Abu Dhabi's government sovereign wealth funds. And they, I believe, $300 billion in assets under management. Filing showed that they have bought the Bitcoin ETF. And you can see Bitcoin is currently up to a little over 2% on the day at 98.4. Forrest, what are your thoughts on this news? I don't want to ask you if it's something that kind of surprised you because, again, you on the show, myself, we've been talking about this for quite a while. But what does this signal to the rest of the markets? Is this going to, is Trump sitting there with David Sachs and he's upset that Abu Dhabi was able to buy before they were? What are your thoughts on this announcement here? And do you think this is a spark that could maybe give us that next leg up in crypto?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely bullish. I mean, it's tough to say like how much they plan on buying. I was looking it up and maybe you have better info than me, but I was seeing some stuff like maybe this fund has like $1 trillion in assets under management, $1 trillion plus, but you might be right on like 300 billion. But that might be a different fund than what I'm looking at. But yeah, either way, like whether it's 300 billion or $1 trillion, it's a lot of money that they've got. And just even a fraction of that moving into Bitcoin really is the Bitcoin and crypto thesis, right? Like the thesis is every asset allocator, every major fund and asset allocator, sovereign wealth fund pushing 1% to 3% into Bitcoin moves the needle on Bitcoin a ton. So yeah, I mean, this is that kind of like nation state endgame theory playing out. Does it pressure other nation states to come in and potentially bid? Maybe. I think we may be surprised by who's probably already bidding. But yeah, it's definitely bullish.
Do you think this kind of, because David Sachs and those guys, they came out and like, look, we're going to look at this thing for 6 months. We're putting a council together. Nothing's been kind of set in stone. We know we have the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Bill by Cynthia Lummis that has to be voted on. Do you think this kind of nudges the Trump administration and the people he has around him advising him on crypto that, hey, this is already happening. If we wait 6 months, we might get front ran by other countries like, I don't know, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Russia, China. And you know how Trump is. He's a very competitive guy. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, like honestly, is as much as people that are like, yeah, I'm bullish on crypto, like as much as people don't want to hear it, like I'm not that convinced that the US government is just going to go out straight up bidding and start straight up bidding Bitcoin. I think they may look to buy it or not buy it, but acquire it in other ways. But I don't necessarily, it's just the problem with like the US government just going in and just straight up bidding Bitcoin for any like large amount, like what we're seeing in the Cynthia Lummis bill, it just create like everybody else is going to front because you have to structure those buys out over time, and then everybody else is going to front run you. Bitcoin's going to be 200K, 300K, and you like the US doesn't have any Bitcoin. It's much, I think, smarter for them to just go, and you can see like there's a in the strategic Bitcoin reserve or the executive order for the that Trump signed. There's like language that talks about like confiscating Bitcoin. I think that's like a much better way for the government to acquire Bitcoin is kind of like anti Bitcoin philosophy as that is, but just like that's how they acquired all their Bitcoin so far. So if they just don't sell what they have and they just continue to confiscate Bitcoin, I think they can build up a pretty large war chest. But I just don't think, I'm not convinced it makes sense for them to go buy a significant amount on the open market, because I think it just, everyone's going to front run you, and the US is just going to end up overpaying for Bitcoin.
Well, they have no problem overpaying. Have you seen the latest receipts that Doge has put out? Very interesting stuff there. You know, it's an interesting take for us. I think at the very least, knowing they're not going to sell the over 200,000 Bitcoin that they have currently, I think that in itself is a positive narrative. But it's interesting. It's an interesting angle you kind of took there. I don't know. I still think they're going to buy BTC, but I agree. I think it's going to be not just Bitcoin, but it's going to encompass other digital assets as well. The whole Made in America crypto, I think that's going to play a pivotal role. And then eliminating those taxes, I think, I don't know if a lot of people understand what that means. When you tell investors that are moving billions of dollars around that they can have exposure to an asset that has staying power, that's been around, that's a leader, take Cardano, take XRP, take Hedera, take XLM, and to be able to make a 5%, 10%, whatever that amount is on $100 billion or $10 billion or whatever the amount, and to not pay capital gains tax, that is massive. How many assets can you say that you can invest in that you don't have to pay capital gains when you make money? You know any off the top of your head for us?
Not only, like, I think maybe some collectibles, and then depending on like what state you're in, like certain like silver coins or like gold coins, I think have some tax loopholes or whatever. But yeah, not really any. Yeah. If that happens, which I'm also very skeptical on that, I'm very skeptical that they get that through. But if that goes through, like just sell all the crypto you own and then just buy the made in the US cryptos, yeah, and just retire. Like, I think it'd be the easiest trade of all time if that goes through, because I think they'll all go through the roof.
I agree. I mean, it just makes sense, right? But it wasn't just Abu Dhabi that was buying BTC. It was also the state of Wisconsin. Their investment board has disclosed that they have purchased $321 million worth of Bitcoin. Now, this fund, right, this is from the actual.gov website, State of Wisconsin Investment Board. As of December 31st of last year, they are managing more than $162 billion in assets. So I did the math. This is about 0.2% of their total assets that are in Bitcoin. Now, I decided to say, okay, what is if we combined all the states together, how much money is that? That number is $6.2 trillion. If you take 0.2% of that, now, of course, we're speculating here. I'm not saying this is going to actually happen. If you take 0.2% of that, it's like $12 or $16 billion. Even if it's half the states that do that, right? Might get some states that do 1%, some that do 0, some that do 0.5, some that do the 0.2. But I don't know. To me, I think this is going to set a precedence. But what I think speaks more volumes, take a look at every company that has adopted a Bitcoin strategy. Forrest, can you do me a favor? Can you pull up a GameStop chart on Wall Street? GameStop, okay? Sure. MicroStrategy goes to a Bitcoin company. They're the biggest gainer in the S&P minus NVIDIA. Metaplanet adopts a micro strategy, their stock goes through the roof. Genus AI adopts a Bitcoin strategy, their stock price goes through the roof. And yesterday, GameStop made an announcement that they want to potentially acquire Bitcoin. Forrest, can we pull up the GameStop chart? What happened to the price of GameStop yesterday?
Yeah, so after hours it pumped, and now it's kind of retracing that pump. But yeah, it pumped after hours 26 to 31. So what is that? About a 20% pump, retracing. I actually like GameStop here because if they do follow through with this, I think they'll get a pretty strong bid. And it's pretty much fully retraced that big pump that it saw after hours. So GameStop looks pretty decent actually here, and they have a ton of cash. They've got like 4.6 billion in cash, which is, could buy a lot of Bitcoin.
But I want the people watching to ask yourself a question. If we're seeing a trend of companies that are announcing that they are either buying Bitcoin or thinking about buying Bitcoin and their stock price absolutely surges, what does that tell you? You know what it tells me? It tells me that is considered something very bullish for the company and for the stock. Again, MicroStrategy kind of led the way on that. You see where they're positioned, able to borrow debt and leverage company equity at essentially 0% interest to accumulate a hard cap commodity. And so they've essentially, I don't want to say broken the system, but they know what they're doing. And so you're seeing a lot more. You're going to see a lot more. You take a look at the state of Wisconsin, Abu Dhabi, check back in a year, in 6 months, in 2 years, and you say, oh, look, our sovereign wealth fund grew by 80%, 90%. And everyone else is looking like, we got like 8. So it's just something projecting forward, right? Companies have already shown success of investing in Bitcoin and what that could do for your company valuation and for the investors. And investors are excited about it. What are your thoughts on this whole Wisconsin thing for us? And again, do you think that this is going to get more states to start doing what Wisconsin did?
Yeah, I think North Carolina put forward a bill. Florida wants to buy crypto. Maybe it was Virginia was the other one. Yeah, it's bullish. Like 300 million here from Wisconsin, 400 million plus from Abu Dhabi. Like it starts to add up, and it starts to tip the scales in favor of Bitcoin. So look, I'm of the opinion that the next year, maybe it's 3 months. I don't know how long it's going to take for this market to start accelerating. But last week when I was on here, we kind of overlaid that 2017 fractal on top of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin can run and crypto can run. I actually am kind of bullish on alts right now, but I think all of crypto just is setting up to be very, very bullish this year.
Before I move on, Forrest, can we take a look at a Bitcoin chart? What are you looking at? Is this another bull trap? What are you seeing on the chart for BTC?
Yeah, I actually have the XRP chart pulled up because it's been pumping, but Bitcoin's pumping too. Bitcoin's pretty straightforward, and it's actually like very boring and rather unattractive to trade right this instant. That doesn't mean that I'm not, like, from a high time frame perspective bullish on it. I am. But from a low time frame perspective, we are very much trapped in a range, right? So generally you want to buy towards the bottom of a range, sell towards the top of a range. It looks like Bitcoin, in my opinion, is probably going to go back up and try to attack the top of this range. Now, here's the problem with trading this, and this is why I'm a big fan right now of being predominantly based in spot, spot positions, not getting over leveraged, and not trying to trade too much. I think people need to decide, are you bullish on crypto or are you not bullish on crypto? Are you bullish on Bitcoin or are you not bullish on Bitcoin? And decide whether or not you're going to hold through some volatility, because this range, as we've seen ranges in the past, can get very ugly very quickly. Like, we could run the top of this range and then come back and run the bottom of this range. If you buy here on a breakout versus buying down here, you might have to hold through a pretty nasty spill and a flush of these lows. I know there's a lot of buyers down here. A lot of traders want to buy these liquidations, right? If all of this range low gets flushed, as we've seen in the past, right? This is actually very similar to what we saw last year. Really, the beginning of last year, as we saw a pretty tight range that we had constructed. We saw a flush out of the top and then a flush to the bottom. This was very painful for all the breakout longs here. They all got liquidated, right? And what I'm trying to say here is not that, like, we see what Bitcoin did after that, right? We saw it move up. But I'm trying to get, the point I'm trying to get across here is that we can see a lot of volatility, and we could flush both sides of the range before we continue upwards. And I just urge people to be cautious about how they are positioning themselves. I think it's, ideally you want to be buying the bottom of this range and be willing to hold through a flush. And if we get a flush and a reclaim, buy the reclaim. I think up here, you have to be pretty disciplined about not trying to get too crazy with breakout longs and have fast invalidations or tight invalidations if this comes back into the range, right? So if we break out and you want to buy more and long because you think it's breaking out, that's fine. Maybe a little leverage trade here, but you want to stop out pretty soon, pretty early if we move back down to the top of this range and look for a bid towards the bottom of the range. The other thing I'll mention about Bitcoin right now is at this point in time, Bitcoin it's in this range because it has a lot of demand down here below 90. Like if you look at the order books, there's a lot of buyers down below 90K. Maybe some of these, I doubt it's Michael Saylor because he just market buys.
He just buys the top.
But maybe it's the state of Wisconsin. Maybe there's other nation states looking to buy. Maybe it's sovereign wealth funds, right? There's a ton of demand down here, but there's also a lot, and I do mean a lot of Bitcoin for sale up here, right? As soon as we move up here, there is a lot of Bitcoin for sale. So we eventually have to get big enough news that we can chew through this and not get rejected back down to the top of the range. So yeah, I think eventually we resolve upwards, but this is a very choppy place to be trying to trade Bitcoin back and forth. And if you do trade, you want to be buying down here with the bid, right? And you want to be selling the ask, right? Otherwise, I think this is just a straightforward hold crypto until this resolves upward.
Awesome. Sometimes the best strategy is a simple strategy. Maybe that should be Michael Saylor's new name, simple strategy instead of just strategy. This was also a big piece of news. World's largest custodian bank, State Street, and Citibank, the third largest bank in the United States, are launching a crypto custody service. Again, something we've been talking about. Forrest, what are your thoughts on this piece of news here?
Did you know that I think it's Citibank that is Ripple custody partner. So Ripple does three things. They do payments, they do custody, and they do stablecoin now.
Yep.
So this is very interesting. And I don't know if XRP is specifically pumping today off of this news, but I think these aren't, this isn't coming through until 2026. So yeah, I mean, regulation and regulatory changes, and these, big players and institutions coming in the space, it does take time, but yeah, I mean, this is adoption. This is institutional adoption of crypto. This is the thesis and the entire narrative that basically, created the last market cycle. Last market cycle was just kind of early for institutional adoption, but this cycle we are getting real institutional adoption coming in, and it's bullish. It is looking good. The more of this news, the higher I think we'll go.
Do you think this moves the needle for the person that maybe is intrigued by crypto but doesn't want to go through the process of setting up an account with a company they don't trust, and versus, hey, I can just buy Bitcoin through Citibank. That's where my mortgage is with. That's where my checking account, my credit card. Do you think that moves the needle, or do we need more?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that feel really comfortable with their money in a bank, but they don't necessarily feel comfortable with their money in Coinbase. So, custody, I know everyone's, we've always talked about self-custody and the importance of self-custody and not your coins, not your crypto or whatever. But I think for the vast majority of people that don't want to deal with a seed phrase, this is a proper solution for them. And yeah. And also, I just think a lot of it just is coming from like the amount of revenue that some of these companies, these crypto companies are making right now is so insane. Like Coinbase beat earnings by, I think it might've been 70%.
Crazy.
Robinhood beat earnings. It's just insane. Like Robinhood and Coinbase making so much money, and Coinbase is raking in a ton of money from custodying these ETFs. Tether is like the most profitable company in the world. The amount of money that is being made in crypto by these early movers is so staggering that these big banks have no choice, I think, but to look at the growing market and look to try to get a share of it.
Amen to that. And you had the Fed FOMC member, or I think he's part of the FOMC, Waller from the Fed yesterday said, hey, we believe banks and non-banks should be able to issue their own stable coin, right? And I kind of talked about the benefits of that, liquidity and kind of essentially a stamp of approval. So it's interesting, it's crazy because it's something that we've been talking about that a lot of people were like, you're crazy. That's never going to happen. Some people are like, yeah, okay, it's going to take 10 years. It's literally here now. It is happening right now in front of our eyes. And the overall sentiment in crypto is still down. And so what's going to end up happening is the people that choose to sit on the sidelines, people that chose to sell their positions because they believe that crypto is done, they'll come back, but they'll come back at much higher prices. And they'll end up being exit liquidity for you, for me, for the large banks and the institutions that have been buying when the price has been trending down. Before I move forward, I want to give a big thank you. I thought it was funny today because we have a schedule of our sponsors and who we give shout out to. Today is Cam's Day, right? It's funny because I walk in here this morning and I'm having issues with our network, and I pick up the phone and I call Cam's, and in literally 10 minutes, I thought we were going to have to cancel the show. I'll be honest with you. And these guys are the absolute real deal. I think I just logged in. They took over my my webpage, and they just fixed everything in like 10 minutes. So if you run a business and that's something that you don't know how to navigate like me, you're going to want to visit bluewiretech.com. There's a link in the description. Hit those guys up, man. They are the absolute best. And honestly, if it wasn't for them, today's show would not be happening. So a big thank you to them. Also, big thank you to Brian Armstrong for this prediction. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong predicts that up to 10% of global GDP will be crypto-based by 2030, saying that it's the dawn of a new era for crypto in the U.S. Any commentary here for us?
I mean, I think everything's going to get tokenized. I think everything's moving towards crypto. I think it's absolutely silly that the stock market closes 2 days a week and at night, but then you can trade after hours and pre-hours, but not like overnight, and the liquidity dries up after hours. And it's just bizarre that we live in 2025 and they still shut down the stock market overnight. Yeah. It's weird that gold doesn't trade on weekend. It's all just like super bizarre and very behind the times, and crypto trades 24/7. And I think we're just going to move towards a space where everything's tokenized and moved on chain and accessible 24/7, regardless of where you are geographically. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me.
Amen to that. We know what BlackRock is doing with a New York Stock Exchange style in Texas. And I'm hearing rumors, I think wasn't there one stock exchange that went 24 hours, or was it the CBOE, or I could have swore there was one.
I'm not certain.
Okay.
I'm not certain.
Pretty sure. I know Robinhood did. I know they did. But I could have swore I thought one, but I could be wrong. We did have a super chat from Nathan Lowmaster. Valentine's Day, Robin Asher absent. Rumors confirmed. Case closed. Hola and yeehaw.
Hola,
it is a little strange.
Hola, yeah.
Just kidding. Big thank you to you, Nathan, for supporting the channel, my friend. All right. Before we get into the markets, I do want to share this. This was pretty interesting. So there's been a lot of uncertainty in the markets from investors and traders, with Trump coming in with a sledgehammer and just destroying some departments and finding fraud and Doge and this and that. Take a look at this. This is according to the CIO of Morgan Stanley, saying Elon Musk's Doge may be the most bullish thing that could happen to the U.S. economy. He goes on, in a new interview on CNBC, Mike Wilson, which is Morgan Stanley's chief investment officer and chief U.S. equity strategist, says that the bank's bull case for this year is that the U.S. government shrinks, causing unemployment to go up, pushing the Fed into cutting rates and creating a broadening out of the economy. He also says that a more balanced federal budget could be a catalyst that boosts markets in 2025, similar to what Bill Clinton budget cuts in 1994. And well, I decided to go back to 1994 and see what happened to the Dow Jones. So the beginning of 1994, to the right of this green vertical line, speaking of vertical and green, look at what the market did thereafter. I mean, Forrest, what is this? Like a freaking December of 94 to August of 97, it was literally up only 124% with two substantial pullbacks, right? The first one was from a close the wick, 11%. The second one was a little deeper retracement. It was right around 12%. And that's pretty much it. We had a few 2-3% pullbacks. This is on the weekly, but it's literally, you want to talk about up and to the right? This is it right here. And so do you share the same sentiment, Forrest, that, it's interesting saying cutting federal employees, which hikes up the unemployment rate, which makes the Fed start QE or cutting interest rates. What are your thoughts on what the Morgan Stanley CIO is saying here?
Yeah, I mean, surface level, I think that thesis makes sense. I think the bigger thing for me in terms of Doge and cutting government spending and just closing the deficit, essentially, Trump's trying to increase revenues via tariffs, and then Elon's trying to decrease expenditures via, cutting unnecessary government wasteful spending. The problem is that this was very damaging. Running a high deficit is very damaging to the economy because it caused rates to go up.
Yep.
Despite the fact that the Fed was cutting the Fed funds rate, the bond market was not buying it. The bond market was calling BS, and you saw the 10 years still elevated.
Yeah.
But if you run a deficit, you have you have no buyers of U.S. debt. Why would anyone buy U.S. 10-year bonds or 20-year treasuries if the government is going to continue spending recklessly and running, increasing inflation and increasing the deficit? And there's no faith in the backing of the U.S. dollar because we're in massive debt. So you can only issue so much debt before the market just calls BS and stops buying it. And that's what pushed rates super high because nobody wanted our 10-year treasuries, 20-year treasuries, even short-term treasuries. Yeah. So now you're kind of restoring by closing the gap in the deficit and balancing the budget. You're creating a situation where you have more buyers finally for bonds and treasuries, and that brings rates down. And when rates come down, that's good for pretty much everything, right? Like no one wants to pay a high rate on their mortgage, right? You have less, the consumer has less money to spend on goods and services when they're paying an extra $1,500 a month on their mortgage because they're getting a 7% rate versus a 3%. And that's about how much it is. Same thing with their car purchases. So ultimately, I think you're seeing Trump and Elon both talk to rates and bringing rates down, and that's ultimately what I think is quite bullish for the economy. Is if they can restore some faith in the U.S. Treasuries and the bond markets and bring rates down, that would be a big positive.
It's a good point, Forrest. And Vinny Del Greco, he brings up a good point. The reverse repo is like almost out of money, and so that's how banks borrow from each other. Not to mention, think about all the people that bought a house at a 6, 7, 8% interest rate for us. If that thing comes down to 4 or 5, and they have equity in their homes, you bet your ass they're going to cash out refi. Like there is zero question about it. I've gotten offers, hey, cash out refi, but the problem is I was very lucky in my timing is I got a 3.2 or 3.6% interest rate on my loan. So I'm not going to refi, take out $200,000 and just to watch my interest rate go from 3.6 to 6 or 7%. But the opposite, it will happen. And then you talk about an injection of capital into every market on top of what Forrest said, just really, really good points. We're going to get into the markets here, Forrest, but I want to share your post here. This was an interesting chart you put up. If you're not longing alts here, what are you waiting for to trigger alt season in your eyes? This is a great chart for it. This is the total 3, which is everything minus ETH and Bitcoin against Bitcoin. And you've mentioned, Forrest, that there is a massive bullish divergence, and I believe the time frame here is the weekly. So this is pretty big. Do you mind talking through this and What does this mean for the average person who doesn't understand what this chart means and what a bullish divergence is? And do you really believe that altcoin season is going to kick off before Q1 is over? Of course, you might be muted. I don't know if you're talking or not, but
yeah, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, so I mean, this is that chart. This is total 3 divided by Bitcoin. So this is just the performance of alts excluding ETH against Bitcoin. And you do have a big bullish divergence into a pretty big support level, support range between 8 and 10 million. That's the units here because we're dividing by Bitcoin. But essentially, for anyone who's kind of confused by this, if this chart's going up, it's basically alt season. It means altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin. If this chart's going down, as it has been, means Bitcoin's outperforming altcoins. Now, obviously, like altcoins are as an entire sector, there's going to be some altcoins that outperform others. I think the argument for being long alts here is very, very strong. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm 100% positive that this is, I'm going to guarantee that this is going to pump in it's alt season. But I think being long alts is versus Bitcoin. I'm not saying, I know so there's Bitcoin maxis out there. I know there's people that struggle to outperform Bitcoin, but like if you pick some solid altcoins, I think the upside in alts here is very high versus the risk. First of all, you're at a big support level, big support range. This has been slow grinding downwards into weekly bullish divergence, which is what you want to see before a big pop. The other thing is alt seasons come very, very quickly and violently with almost very little warning. And they don't last super long. Prior alt seasons last like 60 to 120 days. So if you wait for confirmation of like a trend line break, you're chasing and there's still plenty of money to be made, but you're missing out on over half the move. So yes, I do think you could sit and patiently wait here for maybe this trend line to be broken and for another 20 or 30%, 30% or so on alts. But then you're in a tricky situation because while that's confirming that we broke this trend, you're also jamming into prior resistance and you're potentially buying into resistance. I just think if you're picking good alts and you're buying on dips and you're not just FOMOing in, and you're buying spot and you're not like just getting over leveraged here, I think there's a very strong case to be made that it's very likely that this is the bottom for altcoin or for altcoin dominance, and we're about to see alt season. You got a little bit of a double bottom there, a little ABC correction into that. That's what we had last time before alt season, a big ABC capitulation, and then we ran it back in alts. But I'm not saying we're out of the woods yet. I mean, there's still like very vulnerable charts. Like, looking at XRP here, there's a chance that we see a head and shoulders, and then this capitulates down to $1.35, and everyone gets mad at me for calling for alt season. But if we don't get that scenario, in which case I'd be a big proponent of buying more down here. If we don't get that scenario, I think like a lot of people are missing a really good opportunity to be long alts. Because if you manage risk appropriately and you're buying some solid alts and you're in spot and you're not taking just absurd risk, from a leverage standpoint, you can be wrong here, get flushed, right? Buy more down here on a big capitulation and probably, on the way, like eventually I do believe we get one of these big rips, one of these big alt seasons, right? Well, okay, even if it spills off first and you made a buy down here in this support range, and then you buy a capitulation again, by the time this runs back up to range highs, like these buys don't matter. Like, yes, you were underwater a little bit, but like all season, like things 5 to 10x very, very quickly. It gets very, very overheated. And that's generally like a sign that the market cycle is nearing its end. But when this eventually does happen, whether it's from here or from lower, you like, whether you took a 30, 40, 50% bath on your buys beforehand doesn't really matter. At least in my opinion. I think like the upside to alt season is so high that like, all right, I'm happy to be long XRP here. And if it drops to $1.30, $1.40, I'll buy more and expect that this thing's eventually going to $5 to $10. So that's the way I'm approaching it. It just requires a lot of patience and being willing to grind out some nasty volatility if that's what we end up getting.
I'm willing, bro. I'm ready. I did not go through 2 years of shit to not be excited for now. Okay. So, all right. I want to take a peek here at the CoinMarketCap. Take a look at some of the biggest gainers, some of the biggest losers. So, just going to the top 10, ETH is up 4% on the 24-hour at 2,744%. I do have some ETH news I'll share a little bit later. XRP up 13.5% on the 24-hour. And Forrest, you were kind of asking, well, what's going on? This might have something to do with it. Reality of an XRP ETF is one step closer after the SEC officially acknowledges the ETF filing. And so starting their 240-day review period. Now, under the Gary Gensler administration, it was delay, deny. Will we see in the first, just the first deadline, will we see an approval? I don't think we're going to see delay, deny. Maybe we'll see delay and approve or delay, approve. But I just don't see this thing going out the entirety of the 240 days. Even if it does, that still gives us the XRP ETF by 2025. And so, I don't know, Forrest, I know you were kind of wondering about XRP breaking out. This potentially might be it. It might be the Citibank news with the custody services. It might just be XRP. People feel like it's undervalued at $2.50. When he saw that massive run up to $3.50. Yeah, also, if you purchase one of these right here, our friend Forrest here on page number 38 did an entire write-up on everything XRP. A lot of amazing info in there, charts, graphics, what's the use case utility of Ripple, XRP, and why it's so bullish. So if you haven't picked up your copy, pick one up, and maybe we'll permanently replace Rob with the magazine. That link is in the description of this video. Also, Forrest, we sent yours out, so let us know when you get it. We'd love to get some feedback from you, my friend. And then just kind of going back to the markets here, we have Solana over $200. Real quick, Forrest, charts aside, is Solana? What's your case for Solana now? There's, I think Pump.Fund's getting sued. We know that 74 to 90% of all Solana transactions are meme coins, right? Or like Pump.Fund meme coins. You've mentioned how Solana and the dApps are extremely extractive. What's your base case for Solana this cycle? Do you still think it has another leg up to maybe $400 or $500?
Maybe with the ETFs, if everything else is pretty bullish, people will probably get upset that I'm not super bullish on Solana or not super interested in the ecosystem right now. And I was very bullish on Solana sub $20, very, very outspokenly bullish when it was not popular to do so. But I'm also an investor and trader, and I'm searching for value in the space. And you think about every dollar inflow into Solana, a large portion of that dollar, I can't calculate the percentage, but it ends up in the pockets of, it ends up getting cashed out into stable coins and ends up in the pockets of Pump Fund ruggers, Pump.Fund themselves, extracting revenue, Jito MEV transactions, Jupiter fees. It is the most extractive ecosystem in all of crypto. It doesn't mean that it's not a promising ecosystem or doesn't have more upside, but I can't look at Solana at $200 and feel great about buying, think I'm buying value. I don't want to buy something if I don't think I'm buying value. Is it a tradable asset? Certainly. Does it get oversold and is there opportunities to buy it? Sure. But Solana at 200 doesn't excite me. Who knows? I mean, there's some big unlocks this year, but there's also potential for an ETF. So, I mean, I don't know if the entire crypto market goes higher. Yes, I do see Solana going higher, but I'm not jazzed up about buying Solana here for over some other stuff that's I think a better buy in this market.
Awesome. I kind of agree with you, but I also want to just note I'm still bullish on Solana, and I'll tell you why. Because obviously, the numbers are the numbers. Majority of their trading comes from meme coins, Pump.Fund. But don't forget about the institutions that are also interested in Solana as well, right? You had the Visa write-up with stablecoin. You had Franklin Templeton that just bridged over their their RWA, I forget, it's Fox BB or something. They bridged that over to Solana, so now it's available on Solana. We have tons of VC money and backing in that thing. And so there could be another leg for Solana based off of that. And then if you add in more retail, it would not surprise me if those two things converged and grew together, that we could see Solana sorry, Rocco, I keep messing you up. That was an accident, by the way. We could see Solana at $1,000. I would not be surprised. Now, is that my base case? No. But it'll be interesting to see. And then back to the rest of the top 10. We have, BNB had a huge rally. I was trying to explain to the guy next to me yesterday. So, whoa, why is it pumping? It's all manipulation. I'm like, dude, we're literally seeing money flowing into the BNB ecosystem. We had CZ with the whole broccoli dog thing yesterday. Is there a shift in meta to BNB now for us? What are you seeing on BNB and that ecosystem?
I mean, I like BNB because it's tied to like Binance revenues, which are just like, one of the best business models in all of crypto. But I don't care for like the meme coin ecosystem, or like, I just think, I think like my single biggest point of advice that I would give to anyone in crypto right now is to just get out of the trenches. If you are trenching meme coins, if you are trenching low caps right now, I think you are going to potentially miss out on one of the easiest trades in crypto ever, which is just, picking solid altcoins that are not like micro caps. Yes, there's going to be opportunities to find micro caps and make money. And when, if Bitcoin starts going up vertical in a straight line and Solana goes up vertical in a straight line, there may be some opportunities to look to buy new launches. But that space has gotten so oversaturated, and the attention span, like, see the dog memes for CZ's dog lasted like less than 12 hours. They like just pump and dump. So like I saw one dev made like $8 million. So this one guy who launched a meme coin, he rugged it for $8 million within a few hours. And that's $8 million that is not coming back into the ecosystem. That's getting cashed out. That's going into that developer, that rugger's pockets. I just think like you have a better, like it used to be with meme coins when the beginning of meme coin season was really ramping up in like late 2023, early 2024. Like you had much better opportunities to make money in the space, and the odds were better in your favor. Now you're better off walking into a casino and playing the slot machines than playing the meme coin game, because it's just become so extractive and so short term. Like you've got to buy and be ready to sell within 15, 20 minutes. Or before you could ride out a meme coin for a few weeks and do pretty well on it. So get out of the trenches, whether it's BNB, whether it's Solana. I just think you're better off in more solid alts.
For sure, Forrest. And I'll piggyback off of you said, because I 100% agree. It's just not, at this moment, it's not worth it. It's just not. It's the same people that are getting in there. They're sniping launches. It's the bots. And by the time you get in, even if you got your nose to the grindstone, your whatever that saying is, right? And you're doing the due diligence and you're on top of it, it does not matter, because these guys can get in and out faster than you can with a lot of volume and amount. So we had a super chat from Luke. $20. Take a second and discuss Kaspa. Coinbase news true. So the news with Coinbase was they listed Kaspa on their derivatives. Now, this has nothing to do with spot. Doesn't mean they have to go out and buy Kaspa. But could this be the opening or the first leg of getting Kaspa listed on Coinbase Spot? I just think if Kaspa remains in the top 50, even in the top 100, there is zero reason, with the amount of volume Kaspa does and the amount of holders it has, there is zero reason to not list Kaspa. You're over here listing Popcat and Toshi and Miloshi and whatever other freaking meme coin, SPX 25,000. And you got a L1 here that's got a lot of promise. It's got a big community. It's got a lot of volume. It's a matter of, do they want to spend the money to go acquire that Kaspa? Because the Kaspa team does not provide coins and they do not pay for listings. That is the one, I would say, hurdle. But eventually, there is no chance, in my opinion, that it doesn't happen. This might take a little longer than a lot of people would like. All right, we got a big announcement to make. So last month,
is the announcement that Robert just bought $1 million in Ethereum?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
the announcement?
It's not April Fool's yet, buddy. 2 more months for that. So last month, in partnership with BuyDeFi, who is our exchange we are working with, they airdropped free money to some of you in there. I know one account got $500, one got $300, and 10 of them got like $40 just for using the link and trading on the platform. We are excited to announce we're doing a trading competition in partnership with BuyDeFi. Now, a lot of exchanges, when they do trading competitions, they go based off of volume. I said, look, I don't want to do that. I don't want a whale to come in and have, $100,000 and just blow everyone out of the water. I want to make it more fair. I want to figure out who the best traders are. So we're doing something unique. We're giving out money based off of ROI. So this will be a 4-week trading competition with weekly payouts and a final cumulative payout for the 4 weeks. It's going to start on Monday. And the only way you can participate is if you use that link that is pinned to the top of the live show comments, register for an account. Even if you're in the US, there are no KYC, no VPN. They've been around for a very long time. I love that platform. I use it. You'll get a 15% bonus. And then here's the way it's going to work. Every week, the top ROI trader will get $300 every single week. Now, this is no strings attached, deposited into your spot account that you can literally just pull out the very next day. Also, at the end of the 4 weeks, the number one ROI will get $500. Number 2 will get $300. Number 3 will get $200. And the highest volume will get $300 at the end of the 4 weeks. Again, that starts on Monday. Also starting on Monday, I will be doing a daily trading live show. So this will go hand in hand. I will be trading personally. I'll tell you guys which one my account is. Maybe we'll get Rocco in there to trade. Maybe we'll get Forrest in there to do this trading competition. But this is something we're super excited about, something that gives back to the community. And again, if you already have an account with BuyDeFi, as long as it's under our affiliate, then you're able to participate. If it's not and you want to, reach out to us and we can see what we can do for you, okay? But it's something we're excited about. Also, we just want to give back to our community. We love you guys. And BuyDeFi has been very generous and so they're sponsoring this whole thing. So shout out to them. Sign up if you haven't already done so. These guys are awesome. And so we'll be kicking that off on Monday. So get in there, sign up, and let's get ready to rock and roll here. All right, Forrest, top gainers on the 24-hour list here. So we have the Trump meme coin is up. Huge. It's the best rally we've ever seen. 36% on the 24-hour. Dog with hat. So meme coins are kind of running for us. We got 3 out of the top 5 are meme coins. SPX is up 15% and Dog with hat is up 27%. Virtual's Protocol. I hope you guys bought some at $1.10. I really do. I really hope you didn't get scared out of the market because the team is continuing to build. They just bridged over to Solana. I know, Forrest, we talked about this last week, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. But $1.44, I think we'll see another retracement here. But I mean, even if you bought $1.44, I think you'll make your money back. And then XRP is also one of the biggest gainers. Now, some of the biggest losers: Onyx Coin, Pancake Swap, after a massive rally the last 2 days, has seen a small pullback here, 3.4%. And then I do want to share this. This was posted. This was by newsbtc.com. Cardano echoes 2020 and 2021 pattern is a parabolic rally on the horizon. This is from Ali Charts. Forrest, this is Cardano against the US dollar on the weekly from Binance. And this is the setup that he is referring to. What are you seeing on the Cardano chart? And do you want to comment on this chart that is on the screen right now?
Yeah, looks good. Send it higher. I'm bullish alts. Like, honestly, I'm bullish alts. I'm even long meme coins temporarily because I think meme coins are going to get are in the process of getting a dead cat bounce. But yeah, I can pull up a Cardano chart. I don't chart Cardano a lot, but let me pull one up here. Am I sharing my screen? Yeah,
you're good.
My screen. ADA USD. Zoom out to maybe a weekly. I think that's what they had pulled up. Yeah, honestly, like Cardano looks pretty solid here. This looks like a big accumulation funnel. This looks like, and this is another reason to be pretty bullish on alts just in general. This is generally, like, and now I say this in accumulation funnels, like this could come all the way back down to retest the bottom here. Like it's possible to see like a double bottom down here. And this is like the scenario where something bad happens, a black swan event, whatever, and that would be like your stone cold bottom in a lot of stuff. That would be like $1.39 XRP. That would be 35, 40 cent Cardano. Like this would be kind of putting in your third high or low, which again is bullish. Like it is actually, I know like nobody wants to, if you're long Cardano right now and it's at 81 cents, nobody wants to see this come down to 40. I get it. Like I don't want to see alts come down to another 50%, from where they're at right now, any more than anyone else does. But the market doesn't really necessarily care about how you feel. So if we were to see a washout, that would be a third higher low and really kind of close to a double bottom in the pretty perfect accumulation funnel. And you would expect, Cardano to go significantly higher off of that. So I would absolutely be a buyer of Cardano and other alts if we were to see a pullback down to a third higher low. I think it would be an amazing entry. Am I sitting on the sideline? I'm actually literally I'm long Cardano right now just because it's like some ETF news and I'm bullish on alts just in general. And I don't, this is like not my base case that would come all the way back down here. And I'm very, very rarely long Cardano, but I'm currently long Cardano with a small position. Yeah, I mean, we got a little bit of a kind of an expanding bull flag, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, I'm bullish here. If you want to wait for more confirmation, you can wait for like a full reclaim of these levels up towards, reclaim $1. But yeah, in a nutshell, the chart does look good. It looks quite similar to what we saw before it took off last cycle. Like I've been very for I guess the last 2 years, very straightforward with my thoughts on Cardano, and that you don't want to be long Cardano in a bear market. It performs like a lot of all other altcoins, super bad in a bear market. But in a bull market, very few things have historically, like last cycle, Cardano was, I think, one of the top performing alts, period. And I'm not necessarily going to fade it and think that this cycle is going to be different. I think in a true retail driven bull market, Cardano is going to be a top performer, and I want to be long Cardano. So if there's a time to be looking, like a time frame to be looking for Cardano longs, it is really essentially started with the election. Cardano getting a big push and outperformance after the election, but it is in this time frame where we're starting to maybe see altcoin dominance bottom out and Bitcoin dominance, ideally top out soon. And I think at some point in 2025, whether it's started already or we have one more flush down in alt, I think alt season is very close to starting, and I want to be long, solid performing alts. So I'm long Cardano here. I have an invalidation. If this thing comes down and flushes again, I'll just buy back at 30, 40 cents. And I think that'd be a phenomenal entry. Otherwise, I could see this thing starting to run here in the next couple of weeks or months. So yeah, bullish alts, bullish Cardano.
Up, Forrest. Through the end of February, what are you expecting from the markets? I know you said you're bullish on altcoins. Do you think there's a sector that's really gonna rally? I know you're bullish on XRP. I know you're bullish on XLM. Is there do you think RWAs, you think gaming, you think AI is gonna have another big leg up? Where are you positioning yourself for this next rally here? What's your game plan?
I do think that the AI narrative is durable and it's gone through its first big washout. So I do still like Virtual's protocol. But for me personally, I've been primarily focused in positioning. So I think there's 4 narratives. There's precious metals, right, which is gold and silver, very straightforward, been super bullish. But I know this is a crypto show, so not going to cover precious metals. The other is real world assets / tokenization / custody / payments, basically all the suit coins. I call them suit coins. It's all the ISO 222 compliant blockchains that are going to massively benefit from stuff like Elon wanting to put government spending on the blockchain, stuff like Larry Fink wanting to tokenize all assets. So that's stuff like Ondo. Like, and the funny thing about these suit coins is like most of them just have like they're easy to spot. They have black and white logos. They have CEOs that wear suits to meetings. You see Brad Garlinghouse taking a picture with Trump. They're all wearing suits. Like it's very different from Vitalik Buterin, wearing unicorn costume or whatever he walked around in. So that's XRP, XLM, Algorand, HBAR, Ondo. You can throw Chainlink in there. You can throw AAVE in there. I think anything that has an ETF in the pipeline, Litecoin has been performing very well recently. HBAR, Cardano, Solana. Even though I'm not crazy about Solana right now, it does have the ETF narrative. Anything that has an ETF in the works, XRP, pretty bullish on. Then the other two narratives are AI, which we covered. I think Virtual's Protocol is my top bet there. And then robotics, humanoid robotics, I think are going to be big. And for me personally, I haven't done a terrible amount of research in that sector yet because I think it's still pretty early. But I think like Tesla, Tesla's the bet for humanoid robotics.
How would you play that in crypto, though?
Tokenized suit coins.
How would you play that in crypto? Would you play the infrastructure side of it, maybe like Akash render, where you need some compute? Would you play the agent side of it? What's the crypto play there with the robotics?
For robotics or AI?
For robotics.
I mean, I think robotics and AI are going to go hand in hand because I think robotics are all like self-driving cars are going to use AI. Humanoid robotics are going to use AI. So I think the two narratives fit each other pretty well. So honestly, I would just want exposure. I don't know that there's going to be a very good way to get exposure to humanoid robotics through crypto. I've yet to see anything. I think the compute trade is a little bit crowded. Like you can buy NVIDIA, you can buy AMD, you can buy Render, you can buy Nosana, you can buy like Akash, all good plays, all good opportunities, and probably can perform well. But I don't feel like I have an edge in compute in crypto or otherwise. So right now, like honestly, as boring as it is, I think the most potential in robotics is Tesla at the moment. But if anything else pops up, and it fits the narrative, and I feel like it's valuable, or I'm buying value at a low price, I will definitely say something, and I'll be happy to jump on it just because I think robotics is going to be huge. So right now, the only way I'm expressing that trade is through being long Tesla, but if I see anything, I'll definitely jump on it.
Awesome. That'll do it for the show today. We thank you all so much for tuning in. Happy Valentine's Day to you. And I know this has been a lot of people make fun of me about going to CVS. I did not go to CVS this year. I actually upgraded to Amazon. Thank you very much. All jokes aside, enjoy your weekend, you guys. Forrest, as always, my friend, we love having you on. Thank you so much for joining us. People want more Forrest. I know you've been doing some more live streams. I know you stream on X. Where's the best place they can find more content from you?
You can find me on Twitter at Sistine Research. We have at Sistine.ai is our website if you want to join the Discord. We used to post like big research reports to the website. We haven't that's more of a bear market thing to kind of position for like kind of long-term stuff. Primarily, most of the analysis and trading stuff we do is in the Discord. So if you want to join the Discord, head over to Sistine.ai. Otherwise, I post a lot on Twitter, which is the handles at Sistine Research.
Yeah, and the Discord. I highly recommend you go join his Discord. A lot of good stuff in there. So thank you again, Forrest. And with that being said, Rocco! Thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you had a great time today. Have an amazing weekend. And make sure, join the trading competition. You can win some money. Pay off your car note for the month. We love you guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Hola!
Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin, and sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon, then to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.